If you're an e-commerce brand that's spending anywhere between $10,000 to $100,000 per month on Meta and you feel that your revenue has hit a ceiling, I'm going to show you exactly why this has happened, and I'm going to show you why every single brand that we've worked with over the past 18 months has successfully scaled or is actively scaling as we speak. First, let's take a look at a couple of examples. Peacemaker Healing is a brand that's selling natural pain relief creams. They have a really strong product range and a really loyal customer base. The issue was when they came to us first, their new customer rate was 30%. That means that 70% of their revenue was coming from people who had already purchased before. The creatives that they were running were really retargeting specific. It was just a bunch of really product aware creatives. A bit of UGC was spun in there, but it was nothing that was going to acquire new customers and scale to new audiences. So what do? We rebuilt their creative testing framework completely. And then from there, we tested different concepts and we were actually able to open up a lot of different new audiences that this brand didn't know they could tap into. In quarter one, we saw new customer revenue increase to 70%. And from that, they were able to scale their ad spend by 120% in the same quarter. Balance Essentials is another one. They're a bit of an older brand. They've been around for about 20 years. Their numbers looked really solid on paper, but once we looked under the hood, we realized that 90% of revenue was coming from returning customers. The acquisition engine had completely turned off. In other words, the business was essentially a ticking time bomb. So we came in and we fixed that. We built a cold traffic creative system completely tailored for acquiring new customers, not retargeting. And what did we see? First month, sales were up 35% in Australia. Second month, they were up a further 22%. So how do we get these results for our clients? Well, we don't scale based on platform metrics like most agencies do. ROAS, CTR, CPC, CPA, these are all just directional signals. They're not going to tell you the actual health of your business. So what are the metrics that are actually going to tell you whether your business is scaling or whether it's ready to scale? Marketing efficiency ratio, or MER, is really good. It's essentially your total revenue divided by your total ad spend across all different channels. Customer acquisition cost, or CAC, this is going to tell you how much it costs you to acquire a new customer into the business. And a metric that a lot of brands actually look over, and a lot of agencies as well, is contribution margin per order, because a 4x ROAS on a 25% margin product is not the same as a 4x ROAS on a 60% margin product. While there's no single metric that's a North Star, which is going to tell you exactly what you need to do to grow your business, these metrics, if measured correctly, will tell you what's happening inside your business. Now, here's the part that we've all been waiting for. Here's how we actually diagnose what's broken. 3 layers, always in this exact order. Layer 1 is your tracking or your data. Layer 2 is your website, and layer 3 is your ads. Now, a lot of agencies actually flip the script with this, and they'll look at your ads first, and then they'll look at your website, and then maybe they'll get into your tracking. So why do we do it the opposite way? Well, the reason that we do it this way is because when your data is incorrect, every single decision you make down the line is going to be incorrect. So we believe that it is so important that your data is clean before you get into anything else. Layer 1 is tracking. There's been a lot of dramas with tracking on Meta as of recent. A good way to test if you're suffering from this, if you head onto your Shopify or your WooCommerce store, whatever you're using, check how many sales you got last month, then go into Ads Manager, go to Events Manager, and check your purchase event, and then see how many purchases Meta actually picked up. The number that you see on Meta is going to be 30 to 60% lower than the one that you see on Shopify or WooCommerce. But why does this matter so much? I mean, you've already got the sales, right? It doesn't matter what Meta's tracking. Well, that's wrong. Meta's algorithm is machine learning. It builds statistical models based on who it thinks is likely to convert based on the signals that it receives. So if it's only receiving half of the signals, it's either going to A, take a lot longer to model that audience and optimize your campaigns, or B, your campaigns will actually just never optimize. The algorithm will struggle to find your target audience because it's not receiving enough events. Some very common symptoms / side effects that you'll see from this are your CPAs will jump up, your ROAS will look super weak. And you know what? No amount of creative testing is going to fix that. So how do you fix it? Well, at Lano Digital, we have data specialists on board who are ready to set up server-side tracking for your business. So what will happen is they'll set up Conversions API as well as server-side tracking via a state container. This way, instead of going from the browser to Meta It's going browser to server to Meta. So it's a lot cleaner data. And this doesn't just apply to your Meta ads. This can be used for your Google Analytics, your Google ads, your TikTok ads, your Snapchat ads, anything. Layer number 2 is your website. This is where we consistently find the most recoverable money and the easiest wins, because a lot of the time the website gets the least attention paid to it. A lot of people just focus on their ads. So the first thing that we look at is your conversion rate. For lower ticket offers, which I'm assuming is going to be a lot of you guys, around that $50 to $200, $300 mark, a healthy ROAS would be around 2 to 4%. Anything above that, you are absolutely cheering. Anything below that, and there's a couple of things that you're going to want to look at. The first thing that we're going to look at is your page speed. Now, why is this so important? Well, Google's own data suggests that every single second that your page takes to load from an ad, it reduces conversions by 20%. So this is something that needs to be fixed. If your page speed is above 3 seconds, please look into it, because you're probably paying for clicks that aren't even landing on your page. Another very obvious and important thing is we're going to look at your product page design, and not just the design, the actual functionality of it as well. So what I want you to do, have a look at your product pages and ask yourself this question. Is your product page answering the 3 questions that every buyer secretly thinks about before they click the purchase button? Number 1, does it actually work? And if so, how does it work? Number 2, will it work for me specifically? Are there people like me using this product? And number 3, what happens if it doesn't work? Most product pages just list features, but features don't convert. What does convert is answered objections. And the final layer, layer 3, is going to be your ads. Now I want to reframe how you think about creative, because most brands and most agencies are still getting this all wrong. In 2026, creative drives 90% of your ad performance. Everything else that used to be important, such as campaign structure, budget strategy, your audience settings, Meta's algorithm has become sophisticated enough that with clean data and clean creative concepts, it will find your target audience no problem. What the algorithm cannot do is strategize your creative. It's not going to script your creative. It's not going to tell you which creative you should be pushing. That part is all on you. In Meta's environment, your creative isn't just what people see, it's also your targeting. The algorithm is going to read the content of your ads and your landing page, and it's going to use that to model who it should be targeting. For example, if I have a brand and I'm selling shampoo and I run an ad that opens with a man who is talking about hair loss and shedding, the algorithm is going to try and find people who are anxious about hair loss and have been doing their research on that sort of thing. An ad for the exact same shampoo, but instead it's someone talking about how they want thick, voluptuous hair before a big night out. Meta's going to go and find a completely different buyer, which is someone who isn't worried about losing hair. They just want their hair to look really nice. So you're not selecting that audience in Ads Manager. That's not how it works anymore. There's no setting that I'm going to choose that's going to go, hey, I want to target people who are anxious about hair loss, or hey, I want to target people who want thick hair. The creative is doing that for you. This also means that scaling ad spend doesn't just come from flicking a couple switches in your campaign settings. You can't buy your way to a new audience. You have to create your way there. The brands that scale from $20,000 to $200,000 per month aren't doing so by just adjusting their bidding strategies. They're doing it by systematically producing creative that is going to open up new pockets of demand, and that's how you scale. So some of the metrics that we look at to evaluate your creative: hook rate's probably the most important, hold rate's really important as well, click-through rate's a good directional signal to look at. Any metric that tells us that people are actually digesting our content and not just scrolling straight past. So how do you get started with us? Well, before we start working with you, we need to do a full funnel audit. It's 100% free, and we cover everything, including your tracking setup, your website's performance, your product COGS, and of course your ad accounts. Even if you decide that right now is not the right time to hire an agency, I can guarantee that you're going to come away from the audit knowing exactly which layer is the constraint that is stopping you from scaling and what needs to change. That alone is worth having a conversation with us. So if you're spending $10,000 or more per month on paid media and you want to know exactly what's holding your revenue back, click the button directly below this video. It's going to scroll you down to the form. You'll fill in your details and it will take you to another page where you can book a discovery call with me. On the discovery call, we'll go through your numbers directly and qualify if we are the right fit for your business. If we are, we'll book in a second meeting, which is going to be your actual audit. That's where we get really down and dirty with discovering the bottleneck and what needs to change within your business. Thanks so much for watching, and we can't wait to start working with you.